So this is the part where we're going to spend a good bit of time, because we need to, as we scrub through this, we have all these pictures. They're scaled down to fit, but now it's time to animate them. So I'm going to select that first picture and go to the very beginning of when that picture starts. So this is the 5 seconds that this picture shows on our timeline. And we want it to move. So I'm going to go to the very beginning and keyframe both position and scale. See these little stopwatches? That is setting a keyframe. And there's 2 diamonds right here at the very beginning. You go to the very end, and it actually shows the first frame of the next picture. So I like to then use this button to go back 1 frame. I'm on the very last frame of this image. The most you can scale up is 100%. I want you to type 100 in here, and if it gets too close, you're welcome to bring it back down. But it's very tricky because people like to go over because they really want to show Honduras on there or whatever it is. You cannot do that. The maximum is 100, and then decide whether you want to move it over, down, up. For me, focusing in here, I lived in La Ceiba, and I went to these islands and loved it. That's where I grew up. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Let me drag this back. I'm going to scrub through and press the space bar to watch the animation I just created. So I got to pick where the picture zooms into. Let me do another one. I can click right here in this little mini timeline and drag to the beginning. So it takes me to that picture. Magic number is 52. I'm going to keyframe position and scale and then go to the end. If I click the end button on my keyboard, it does take me to the very end of this. So you don't have to go to the end and then back 1 frame if you know where that end button is, right next to delete. The maximum amount I can zoom is 100. But maybe that's too far. I may not want to get that close. You need about 10% of change to really see the zoom. More is more dramatic. I can actually click on motion here instead of dragging on these numbers, and now I can grab the picture and move it. But that warning color is there to tell us if we go too far in any one direction. Over here, over there, you decide what it is you want to look at, and then check it out. Drag it to the beginning and see if you like the smooth motion as it's zooming in. Click, beginning, keyframe, position, and scale. Pressing end on the keyboard, maximum zoom is 100, and I can click on motion to decide whether I'm more interested in the mountains, the lake, the reflections. You have to decide where it is you want to zoom. Now, if that was too much, and I just wanted to zoom in a little bit and make it look nice, then you can do that. Let's see if we've got enough zoom to add some drama. You don't want to always zoom right in on the middle. That gets really boring after a while. So try and pick something on that image that it's going to zoom to. Don't just leave it like that. I'm going to drag here and try and find a spot where I can still see the apple and the envy. Let me bring it back a little bit. So there is some finagling, some little bit of work to do to get that to look just the way you want it. But wait, I didn't go to the end. So I've just picked the opposite point now. It's not the end of the world. We can go to the end and then we'll reset these numbers. And I'm going to zoom out as far as I can go without the red. And now it goes the opposite way. I want you to notice that with each of these images, there are 2 keyframes at the beginning and 2 at the end. That's what your images need to look like. When I click here, there are no extra keyframes. But if you do anything when you're not at the beginning or end, then extra keyframes get made. And you can end up with some very weird behavior, and that's not what I want to see. I want nice, clean animations. You can select those keyframes and delete them. Pretty easy thing to do. All right, let me do the rest of these. Going to the very beginning, and keyframe, position, and scale. Go to the end, and the most we can zoom in is to 100. And I'm going to maybe adjust this so that I can see what they actually look like, stacks. That'll work. Let me go to the beginning. Home also does that, so end and home. Keyframe, always position and scale. Go to the end, zoom in up to 100%, and pick just what it is you're going to zoom in on. 3 more to go. Go to the beginning, keyframe, position, and scale. Press end on my keyboard, maximum zoom 100%, and then I need to choose just what part of this I'm going to zoom in on. Go to the next one, beginning, keyframe, position, and scale. End on my keyboard, maximum zoom 100%. What part do I want to zoom in on? So I'm showing you different ways of doing this. Let's focus on that. Is this a good spot? Not quite. There's a little red over there. So I'm going to move this over so that I don't have any of the warning color showing. That's pretty dramatic right there. And one more. Don't keyframe here. Make sure you're at the beginning. Position, keyframe, and scale. Go to the very end, and the most we can zoom in is 100%. And gosh, what part of this image? So clicking on motion there so I can decide what's the most dramatic. Do I care about based on Stephen King's short story? Do I want this frame from the actual movie? Do I care about these people? Do I want the main title? So you decide what part is going to be there. Now we've got something that Google Slides can't do because we've decided exactly what we want to focus in on. One last thing, you don't want all of these all zooming in. So what if we wanted to zoom out? Very easy. I'm going to select these 2 keyframes and move them in towards the middle. That lets me select these 2 keyframes and put them at the end. And then put that at the beginning. You don't want to do it like this because then they end up right on top of each other. So do them in a 3-step process, and now we have an image that zooms out. So don't always zoom in and don't always zoom out. If you do get a lot of choppiness, that's because we have slow computers and super high-res pictures. I will be showing you how to pre-render and make that nice and smooth.